to share with you guys about milestones and about how to get ready for it. So thank you so much for joining us. I want to say that I'm super excited anytime we have a parent night or a learning coach night, because you are the reason that we're all here. You and your students and our fabulous teachers are the reason that we all have a place to come and call work. Although it's so enjoyable, it doesn't always feel like work. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here at GCA, and thank you for showing your students how much you support them and how much you want them to succeed in their educational world by being here today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it right over to our fabulous operations team. They've prepared a beautiful presentation for you guys with lots of information, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and lock the chat. If you have any notes, you can do your handy dandy notes like I do and write it down, and then keep it in your memory, and then ask your questions at the end. All right. I don't know which one of Susan. Okay, so Miss Susan Rudd is going to start us off. She is our operations assistant principal, and if you're wondering how in the world you have a chance to log in to go to class every day, she's the magic behind the scenes, along with her wonderful administrators. So we're so excited to hear what y'all have for us tonight.
All right. Thank you for the introduction. So I will say that I do have some of our wonderful teammates here tonight, but before we were ever operations folks, we were also classroom teachers. So we are bringing to you tonight our experience from Milestones, and want to just share a little bit of what we know as parents and as educators to make this journey a little easier, and just kind of give you some hints along the way to help, just to kind of help ease you through this. So let's start off. And if you were in the first session, you obviously heard a lot of what was going on. So we're going to narrow it down just a little bit and speak specifically to 3rd through 5th grade. So taking a look at what Milestones is, and I'm not going to read everything to you. These slides will be available. Milestones is a measurement of what we're teaching. It's accountability. Grades 3, 4, and 5, all of those students take ELA and math. Our 5th graders also take science. So 5th graders get a little extra something as well. So throughout this presentation, we're going to give you some tips and just some, we've kind of split this into 6 hints or tips along the way. So if you're taking notes and you want to set yourself up for, we've got 6 big picture tips here. So to start with, the when, specifically for our elementary students, it's going to be that Monday the 2nd through Thursday the 5th. And so on Monday, students will take ELA section 1 only, and that's the writing section. Tuesday, they'll take ELA sections 2 and 3. Wednesday, they'll take math sections 1 and 2. And then Thursday will only be 5th grade, and that's that science sections 1 and 2 for that 5th grade group. Where, and they talked about this in the first section, we're all over the state, and how all of us certified teachers are going to be all over the state with your kiddos during that week, providing the test. So we're going to start with tip number 1, and I'm going to walk you through this one because this one I think is a really big deal. These are all big deals, but this is one that can make such a difference, especially if you have a student who's new to testing and might have some anxiety about this. So here in Georgia, our state platform, we test online, and oops, there they go. You actually have access to a fake online environment, just like your student's going to interact with when they go to the Milestones test. I don't know about you, but my kids love to click around. My students did, my own kids do. If you put them in front of a website, they click, 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 click. If you give your students time to click around now before the test, it's going to be a lot better. If they're clicking around during the test, they're wasting time. We've also embedded some QR codes that will take you directly to these things instead of having to try and type in all of the websites. I'm going to pop this into the chat box for you as well. If I can get down there. There we go. So if you go to this site, you just go to test practice. And then on the right side of the screen, you're going to make sure you go to the EOG. Remember, that's what our kids are taking. They're taking the end of grade tests. And you're going to make sure you go to the spring main administration. And you're going to click on the white section there that says online test training. It's hard because you would think you would click on the green, but you don't. You have to go down and you click on the white underneath. And then I'm just going to walk you through this to tell you how to log in, because this is really valuable for your student. If they can click around at home, it's going to prevent a lot of drama clicking around on test day. Then here are just the other steps. You're going to click the next screen. You're going to click on where it says test practice. And then you're going to click where it says standard online tools, because for most of our students, they are going to be using standard online tools. If you have a student that has an IEP, a 504, a TPC, some other extenuating circumstances, documentation, they might be using a different setup, but you could ask your case manager about that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or your student doesn't have that, then you're going to use standard online tools. Then you're going to go to grades 3 to 5. And yes, I'm going quickly because I want to get you to the next section here, and you guys can go back through these. This page, you guys, we're all really great here at GCA with typing in passwords, but this is a little tricky here. They actually give you your username and password on this screen. You just have to transfer it down. Your student's going to have to do this on their own. So let your student practice doing this. So they need to be able to look at that username and transfer it down to where it says username. They need to look at the password and copy it down to where it says password. Now theirs will be on a piece of paper, but they need to practice doing that and then click sign in. This is one of those, if they can conquer this, this is one of those unknowns that they can mark off their list and that will really help with anxiety. All right, and then the next couple of screens and this is just what it will look like when they get to their test site. And this will be every single day, and by the last day of their testing, they'll be like, oh, yes, I've seen this screen so many times. But they need to understand that they are looking to see, is that their name on the page? Did they accidentally get the wrong test ticket and they typed in the wrong stuff? Is that the right test? And then you'll just click the next little box, which is for continue. Now, there will be teachers circulating throughout the room. So if your child completely freezes and is petrified, there will be somebody there to prompt them and say, okay, and of course we're very bound on what we can and can't say, but there will be somebody there to help them along if they get stuck. Then the next several pages go through all of the directions, and the students are given these directions on every single test. So just talking with your student about, how important the directions are and reading through them, all those things. I do want to make a note, and I put that on the bottom of this slide here. The questions that come up in this test module situation here, these are not grade level specific. If your third grader logs in and sees a question, it might be a fifth grade question, and they might say, what in the world? The point of this platform is not content. It's for them to get to know how to move around in the test system. So don't panic. If your student gets to something and they say, I don't know this question, don't let that be a panic factor for them. Just encourage them that this is just so you know how to work the system. But once again, just a reminder, they love to click around. So it shows them, let me go back a page there just quickly there. On that, it shows them all of the different tools, the highlighter tool, lots of different things that they can use, and they can actually try it. This is a page that really deserves you to have a one-on-one chat with your child, your student. Sit with them and look at this page. This is going to be the last page that your student sees before they submit their test. And on this page, they can see every question they answered, and you can flag questions as you are answering them. If they say, man, I'm really not sure about this, but I don't want to waste more time because I just don't know this one, they can flag it and keep moving. At the very end of the test, they get to see this page, and it is like a summary page. And this is a great talking point to say, hey, make sure you look at this, and if you skipped any, go back. If you still have time left, go back. If you flagged a question, go back if you have time. Don't just hit submit your test because you hit this page. Really look what you have there. But those are conversations that a lot of times teachers are going to have these conversations, and they're going to have them in all contents. But sometimes having those one-to-one conversations with your student directly, sitting at the computer, have a lot of impact. All right. So I'm going to pass it over to another one of our teammates. Rebecca is going to jump in here, Miss Ridgway, and talk to you about keeping it calm.
Good evening, elementary. My name is Rebecca Ridgway again, and I am the Data and Assessment Administrator here at Georgia Cyber for our wonderful elementary grade band. So, yes, I will move right along. Tip number 2 is keep it positive and calm. So, of course, we know going into testing, students can have some testing anxieties. There's a lot of unknown if they have never been to testing with us before, and just overall with testing in general. So, your student will take your lead. So make sure that the morning of testing each day that you're having a positive attitude and staying calm as well. And that will trickle into our students. So the 4 tips for keeping it positive. Number 1, expectations. So be clear and consistent with your realistic expectations. So as far as I think that having an open conversation with students about this and their expectations and yours, and making sure those are aligned going into testing are great. Our second one is praise. Notice the wins, no matter how small they are, whether that is in Canvas, working through things before we get to testing, and the days leading up to testing and coming to testing. Praise is always something that we know our students love. Number 3, goals. Setting goals with rewards and check and adjust as necessary. So setting goals with your students, we love to see them setting personal goals for themselves, especially in regards to how they want to succeed on the Georgia Milestones. And number 4, check yourself. Lead by positive example, and that trickles into what we were just talking about, making sure that they see the way that we are kind of going into testing with a positive attitude, and that will trickle into what they are going to do in regards to their performance. All right. Tip number 3 is face your fears with help. We know that people need help and support sometimes. And we know that you guys know the students way better than we do. We are there with you all the time. So address any issues with them with plenty of time to problem solve. There's a lot that goes into going into this environment, going into testing, being around other students. So making sure that you're having these open conversations about what testing is going to look like for them and some things that they can expect to see. So some common fears that we see with first-time testers, if this is your student's first time testing, and even if not, some of these things do arise, especially leading right up into testing. So some of them are students feeling homesick. They're used to being home all day for their learning experience. So being away from home for hours can definitely cause that. Being in an unknown place. We do know that they are coming to a place, even if your child tested last year, they may be testing in a different location this year. So being in an unknown place can also make them feel a little uneasy coming into testing. Time. This is big for a lot of our students. Knowing that the test is timed sometimes gets our students a little bit nervous. They want to make sure that they have an opportunity to finish everything. So that is a big common fear that we see. Restrooms. Reassure your student that they can go to the restroom if they have an emergency. Once we're in the testing room, we have a lot of procedures in place. That way we can make sure their test is paused so that they can leave the room, do what they need to do, and come back in for testing. So that is something that if they need to go to the restroom, we have opportunities for them to do that. And the biggest one is failing the test. A lot of our students feel very anxious and wanting to go in and show what they know to their best ability. And sometimes the nerves can get a little bit ahead of them. So again, just if you are staying positive with them and encouraging them to just try their best and do their best each day that they show up, we are so thankful for you guys and your support in your positive energy that will trickle into your students. So I will pass it right over to the wonderful Miss Victoria Kelly for the next part of our presentation.
Good evening, elementary. Thank you guys so much for coming. And Rebecca, thank you for our amazing tips that you've already shared with us. I wanted to go over a few items on just to how to rock this test. Just encourage your students. They're going to do amazing. There are some methods and some things that we can do to help them through that experience. So I wanted to go over a couple of those and just to build their confidence and just help that they step into that building on that morning and they're ready to really, truly rock this test and they're confident. So we've got some test taking strategies. The first one I want to mention is just make sure that the students that they're reading the questions carefully. I know I always tell my boys at home, I'm like, read that question at least 3 times and make sure you understand what it's talking about. With the Georgia Experience Online, there's a really neat tool that you can practice when you highlight the questions. So you can highlight as you read and have your students practice that. Just so they can understand and make sure they understand what the question's asking. Moving over for the constructive response questions, sometimes just making them understand that more doesn't mean that it's the highest quality. So just making sure they read the question and they're answering it to the best of their ability, and then they can move on from that. They don't have to keep typing information that maybe was not what the question asked for. So just reminding them of that. And also just letting them know that there may be a question that they will not know the answer to, and that's okay. They're not going to know the answer for every single question. Sometimes they'll throw some questions in there just to kind of norm the test. So let them know not to be shaken by this, and just to move on. Try your best and go to that next question. Some of this is my next favorite strategy. When I taught math, I always told my students, I said, use process of elimination. So make sure that the students are reading all the answer choices before they make their choice. Make sure they go A, B, C, D, or however many there are. Also, there's a tool that they'll be able to use where they can cross out the answers that are not right, or they know that they're not right. So help them use that and just use that process of elimination to make the best overall choice. Also, this works well too, to have them read the questions before they have a long passage. So when they get in there to ELA and they're doing their reading passages, sometimes reading those questions before, they kind of know what to look for when they get up there in that passage. So just reminding them of that. And also, if you can narrow the choices down to just 2 choices, have them kind of toggle between those 2 and then try to choose their best choice on those. So those are just some strategies to use when they're in there in that test. All right, a couple of other ones. Timing is everything. So we all know that when we feel rushed or when things aren't going our way, that we just get even more flustered. And so you want to make sure that you arrive at the testing site at least 15 minutes early, so that your student can get registered. Maybe if they can go to the restroom, kind of get seated in their seat, just that they feel ready and they're ready to go. Also, making sure that they've had a good breakfast. You don't want them to be you don't want to be over full, but you do want them to. They are going to be sitting testing for a while, so just making sure that they're good to go with that. Making sure they're fed before they come, and then just remember that we want to minimize any drama. And I know when I drop my babies off at school in the morning, you want to make sure you've had a good morning. It's been calm. Have your plan ready. Share that plan and follow it, and just stay calm. And then give them a hug when you let them go test, because they're going to do great. And that is all I have for ours. I'm going to pass it over to my teammate, Miss Filiatro. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Miss Kelly. Hi, guys. I'm Melissa Filiatru. I am an administrator in the operations department as well. So I'm here to talk about our 5th tip, and that is practice, practice, practice. We are so incredibly lucky at GCA to have so many wonderful programs that our students can use to practice, and one that we really want them to utilize for testing practice is the USA Test Prep program. This program it uses specific Georgia standards that your students will be tested on, so it's a great one to be practicing on. So we've introduced the Green Dot Challenge, and it's a way to individualize the practice with the standards for students. So students will go into Clever and log into their USA Test Prep account. They're going to go over here and click on their name, and they will click elementary. If it's not already clicked, most of the time that is, just so they can make sure they're accessing the elementary standards. They're going to choose practice and then choose their grade level and then the subject that they want to practice on. They can practice for any subject, but remember, our 3rd and 4th graders only test in math and language arts, and our 5th graders test in math, language arts, and science. So focusing on those contents will get your most bang for your buck when you're practicing for the milestones. So what you're going to do is choose a practice. You're going to choose the best way that you can practice. So best practice score is up here, and then you are going to choose the standard. So I would just start at the top and kind of work your way down so you can hit all of the standards at one time. So then let's see. Go to the next one. All right, so you're going to choose the question. This is the fastest way to go to the Green Dot Challenge, and you're going to make sure that after every activity, you're going to submit that activity. If you don't submit it, it won't show that your work, and your teacher won't see that you've earned that green dot for that challenge. Work until each standard has a green dot. That shows that you have 85% or higher of mastery. So make sure that you're working towards that 85%. A lot of our teachers, we have some awesome, I can't even think right now. Sorry, it's like we have some awesome things going on in the classroom with Green Dot Challenges. There's lots of activities that they can do. There's lots of prizes they can earn. So make sure that you're going into USA Test Prep. Make a 20-minute time daily where you're going in there and you're practicing for the milestones specifically. It's a great way to make sure you're hitting every standard that you have for your grade level. And Miss Rudd is going to bring us on home.
All right. And I will say, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but when she mentioned some prizes for the Green Dot Challenge, I've been around GCA a while, and we've got some prizes for Green Dot Challenge this year that are rather unheard of at GCA. So just know that there's more to be told on that story, and hang tight. That one's coming. But it's always fun to encourage, for our kids to have something fun to work toward like that. Just something fun. So our final tip for the night, tip 6, is specifically for our learning coaches, and really to encourage you to be a knowledge collector when it comes to standardized testing. We know that there's a lot of information out there on what's going on, and there's always new information coming. So, trying to flip the slide here. Okay, so let's start here. I want to tell you about this. This is not anything that your students ever need to deal with or at all. This is something that is really interesting as a learning coach, and I'm going to pop that in the chat box there for you. This link, and if you've got a QR scanner, you can zip yourself right there, will take you to the blueprints of all of the different tests. This breaks down for you what will be kind of the basics of what is going to be on each of the Milestones test. It breaks down the domains and the approximate percentage of each domain on the test and the kinds of questions. This is just some really interesting background knowledge for you to have as a learning coach. And the more information you have, the more able you are to prepare your student as well and know sort of where maybe their weakness lies. As a mom, there's some areas that I know that maybe my student has a weakness in this area, but if I were to look at these documents and see that it's a very small portion of the Milestones, maybe I don't want to fight that battle at this moment, and I know that that's going to become my summer project to remediate some of those skills this summer, and I see that there's another area that I feel like would be a better use of our time right now. So this is just something for learning coaches to take a look at and check that out. Here's another piece. You might want to take a picture of this with your phone, just so you'll have it and you can reference back to it. I take pictures of everything. So Monday, you know that ELA will only be one section for our elementary kids. And the typical testing session is 45 to 65 minutes, somewhere in that range. But a class of students can go as long as 90 minutes. And remember from the first session, they told you we can't release a classroom until everybody is finished. So that would be, it could be up to 90 minutes. So, but that's only one section for that Monday. You can see the rest of those. Science, that's only 5th grade. Remember that. Just another piece of information for you to have. Now, before we get to the next couple of pieces of information here, I just kind of want to preface the next few slides with, this is GCA communication that has been put out on the website. The next few statements are not things that we are going to, that we're prepared to debate tonight, have questions about. These are questions that would have to go to our testing team. And actually some of these are mandated things from the state Department of Ed. So just want you to be aware of these and where some of these things are located. But I also want to put that statement out there. And actually, it's not this slide, it's the next two after that. Sorry about that. GCA communication. Some of you are saying, when am I going to know where I'm testing? We're excited. We want to know where we're going. You should know within the next couple of weeks where you are testing. That would come through an email to your account, so you would know. Check your emails frequently. This is how you're going to get information. And I know you guys get so many emails, but during testing season, it is important for all learning coaches to block out some time during your day to be very intentional about checking your emails. It needs to be done on a daily basis, especially during testing season. Things can change, and you need to be on top of that. Be proactive in asking questions. If you get a site assignment and you're a little unsure of it, reach out and ask. Homeroom teachers can answer a few questions, and especially content questions. Is my kid taking this test? Are they not taking this test? They can help you with those things. But as far as logistics things, Ms. Gilliard gave you the link in the first session to where you could put those questions in if you had those. All right, here's one of the slides that I was telling you about. And I gave you the QR code that takes you directly to the GCA website that talks about how we have requested from the Georgia Department of Ed to allow us to conduct Milestones testing remotely and the outcome of that. And also the statement about our procedures in making every effort possible to keep our students, our staff, and our families safe during this time. And that is not taken lightly at all. We have very, very strict procedures about how things are done. All of that information is on the website, and it is followed by each one of our testing teams. All of our testing teams have oversight and accountability. So please know that that is taken very, very seriously. And then this is the piece that that is from the state website. So reference this if you need to regarding the opt-out issues that you may or may not have heard about. I know a lot of this stuff gets passed around. You might see things in social media, but no, this is where GCA gets their information from. And then from there, please remember that these are not things that we are equipped to answer questions about, because these are state mandated policies. But we would love to answer questions. If you have questions about not so much logistics as far as where your tester is going to be, but strategies or anything academic, we would love to help answer those.
Absolutely. Excellent job. I'm going to go ahead and unlock the group chat. So if you have questions, we have teachers, we have administrators, we have assistant principals, we've got the whole team here. So if you have questions, the quickest way to get your questions answered is to put them into the chat right now. I have 3 things that I wrote down that I wanted to go over with you guys before I started the questions. The first is the most exciting, and that is the Green Dot Challenge. Now, my administration team came to me and they're like, look, we need to give these kids a prize if they're working this hard. And I said, I completely agree. So my team's like, how about they throwed around a couple of ideas, and then they got their big idea. And so I went to our superintendent and I said, hey, we've got this idea for this Green Dot Challenge. We really want our students working hard. We want them prepping and getting ready for this Milestones assessment. We want to give them a prize. Like, we want to do a drawing for one huge grand prize, and then also give a prize to the winning team. So they're competing against 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Each content class is. And Miss Lassiter was like, absolutely. Yes, we will find a way to make it happen. So are you ready for the big news? I was looking, I just saw that some people say they can't hear me. Hopefully all of you can. The grand prize drawing will be for a bicycle. So we are going to give away a bicycle, and I'm so excited because you think about the joy in a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, how much joy it would give them to be like, you want a bicycle, and if you want, your principal is going to deliver it to your door. If not, then I will mail it to you. So either way you want it, your teachers and your leadership team are so proud, and we want you working hard to possibly win that bicycle. The person with the very most green dots will win that. If there are multiple students with the same amount of number of green dots, then we'll do a drawing for those. So that's the coolest thing that I have to say. I should have saved that to last. The second thing that I want to say is we went over a lot of the things that, and I have 4 minutes, so I've got to put the hustle on it. Okay, so we talked about a lot of the things that may be scary to students, or some of the things that, they may have issues with, and those are very valid and very real. But let me tell you, we are a virtual school. So just like on Community Day, when we get to see our students in person, it makes all of us so happy to see their sweet little faces. We just want to love on them and take good care of them. And I can assure you, because I know on your parent heart, your learning coach heart, that it's sometimes hard to let them go, but we are there with open arms. We welcome them, and we are so excited to see them. It is one of our favorite times of the year. not because of the testing, but because we get to see our sweet kiddos face to face. And some of them are with their teachers, and I get to travel around and see as many as I possibly can. So just know, yes, there are all the testing, the anxiety, all of that, but also there's the excitement of getting to see teachers and administrators and people from GCA face to face. And our students enjoy this time, but I think our teachers enjoy it even more than our students do. So there's that side of it too. And the last thing is, I just think about students all over the state, and then I think about Georgia Cyber Academy and our students. Our students are more prepared for this test than any other student I've seen in the state, just anywhere. I would put our students up against any other students, hands down, because we work so hard every single day. You will not find another virtual school in Georgia that has their students in classes with a certified live teacher for at least 4 periods every single day. And I'm excited to see how well our students perform on this assessment, because we prepare our students so well. So again, GCA students are the absolute best. We are excited to see them. And now I have 2 minutes left, and I will open up the mics, but I had to get all of those things off my question, and you would like to ask a question. If you will raise your hand down in the bottom, there's a little smiley face. We might have room for one. There's 1 minute left. Otherwise, you have been adding your questions in the chat. Hopefully those have been answered. If not, I just submitted, or I just put in the chat the, I think that's the right one, the document for you to answer, ask any questions that you may have about Georgia Milestones. Let me see if I have any hands up. We've got a lot of parents in here. You guys make me so proud. Okay, Felicia, we'll give the mic to you, and then we will close it out.
I was wondering if my child, like, say we're planning on moving this month still, but we've already submitted where we think we may move to. But if we don't get to that area before March, will she still be able to change her site, or will she still have to go to that specific destination?
Good question. If you will, Susan, you're probably going to have to make sure I answer this correctly. But if I think what you should do is email that to who? Who do we need to email that to, Susan?
So make sure your FEL is aware, and then we'll have to reach out directly to our testing team to see if we can adjust once you know for sure where you'll be.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you. I knew you would know. That's had to have come up over the years. Okay, it is 7:30, and while I'm so glad you're here, and I know you probably have 4 million other questions, put it in the survey. We will answer those as they come up and email you back with those answers. Thank you so much for attending. Go have some dinner with your family and enjoy the night. Bye, everyone.